everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the Flesh Eater Court's army set. Yes, here we are painting the fabulous new Gorewarden, Abhorrant Gorewarden no less. He's absolutely phenomenal and I love it. Beautiful model. I think it looks amazing. It's been sent to me early by Games Workshop as part of the new Flesh Eater Court's army set, and I cannot thank them enough because this is an absolutely wonderful time I'm having painting these. So we're going to jump in and we're going to start painting him because, well, there's no time like the present. He has been primed in white scar, just like the rest of our Flesh Eater Courts, and the colour we're going to be using first is a roughly 4 parts Flesh Tearers Red to 1 part Lahmian Medium mixed. And this is because we just want to improve the flow a little bit here to make this nice and easy, because as you can see, those wings, they are large, they are flat, and they don't have a lot of detail on them. And this is where we're going to start. So we're going to start with the Flesh Tearers Red and Lahmian Medium mix. I'm just going to start in here, and we're going to apply this over the top of the wing membranes. And don't worry if you get this on any of the other details, that's okay. It's the reason we're starting with this first. You can always tidy it up with some more white scar a little bit later. But what we're looking to do here is get a nice, smooth, flat coat of the Flesh Tearers Red over the top of our wing membranes. Just like this. Just take your time here. And then once this is done, we'll come back. So with that done, if you do have any patches, from which I do have a little bit of patching going on here, what we're then going to do is we're going to take a roughly 4 or 5 parts water to 1 part Khorne Red mix. I'm going to use this over the top of the flat areas of the wings. Don't need to go anywhere near any recesses, not that there are many of those on these particular wings, but we do have some kind of in the creases. In some areas. This is just going to give us a little bit of a kind of glaze consistency that's going to smooth out any blotchiness whilst retaining a lot of that lovely Flesh Tearers Red tone. So with that done, you should have these really kind of lovely flat wings. Now before we shade them, what we're going to do, and this is entirely optional, you don't have to do this, I'm just doing this to add a little bit more visual interest. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Luxion Purple. I'm going to do this to add some little veins and things into the wings. So we're going to start up here. just like that sort of thing. It's going to be really subtle once we're all done, but we'll just make those flat panels look a little bit more interesting. So whether or not you've applied those Luxion Purple vein-like patterns over the top of your wings, what we're now going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Carroburg Crimson and Lahmian Medium. We're going to apply this over the top of the wing membrane. So with that all done, I've neatened up some of those mistakes on the wings, on the kind of spines of the wings, and on the arm, for example. I had a big red blob there, some white scar. And what we're now going to do is going to move on, because we don't need to worry too much about doing any much more on the wings for now. But as you can see, those veins are now really subtle. They look absolutely fantastic. Just adds that little bit of extra texture in there, which is just great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the rest of our Gorewarden, specifically over his skin. With all of that Agrax Earthshade now applied, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to apply this over top of all of the bones on his necklace. All that Skeleton Horde applied, we're then going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over a number of different details. So firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to pick out all of his fingernails. I mean, they're more like talons at this point. So apply them like this. Make sure that we do the inside as well. Like so. Similarly, we're going to apply this over the top of his toenails. Like that. We're also going to use this over the teeth. And the eyeballs. Like that. We're going to apply this over the top of the wing spikes at the end of the spines. Like that. And like that. And then what we're also going to do here is we're going to use the Wyldwood to pick out any fur. So we've got a little bit of it just in here. There's a couple of little strands of fur. Along those areas of the wing. There's one just there. There's one just there on the back as well. Just like this sort of thing. So with all of that Wyldwood now applied, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the leather and all of the cloth. And so with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. I'm going to use this over the top of all of the keys and the key rings. And with all that Iron Warriors now applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. I'm going to use this to paint in all of the decorative bits on his belts. So we've got the, well, it's not really a decorative bit, but it is the buckle just here. Like that. Got this little device. Like that. Some more of those scattered around. There's some more just here. So with that done, just before we add any shades, what we need to do is we need to relayer his skin to make him nice and bright. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Pallid Witch Flesh. And we're going to start applying this over the top of all of the raised muscles, flat surfaces and things like that. We just want to avoid any recesses where our Agrax Earthshade has really settled. going to start just here on this leg. You can see you've got a really nice little muscular grouping there. So now that all the flesh is once again brightened up and looking ghastly and ghoulish, what we're going to do is we're going to add those shades. And the first one is kind of a shade. I mean, it is a shade paint, but it's not really a shading. What we're going to do is we're going to take, once again, a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Carroburg Crimson. And we'll be using this to do some blendings. And we're going to be doing this on the hands and the feet and the wing spine. So we're going to start down here on the leg. I'm going to apply this Carroburg Crimson like this, over the top of the leg, bringing it all the way around, coming up to just below the knee. Just like that. And then going to wash the brush, touch off the water, then we're just going to smooth out that transition like that, so it blends down into the Carroburg Crimson. I'm going to do the same thing on the other leg, but for now what we're going to do is we're going to do this over the top of the hands. Like this, and I'm just going to bring it up over the arm a little bit, like that. Wash the brush, and then smooth out that transition once again. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well, so on the inside of the hand and the other half of the arm. Wash the brush, touch off the water, smooth out transition. Just going to grab a little tiny little bit more Carroburg Crimson. There we go. Pop that into my mix. What we're also going to do is we're going to apply this over the face. Like this. I'm going to take it over the ears. Like this. Take it up over the forehead. And then we're going to wash the brush. We're going to blend out the forehead. Again, just feathering away at that transition line. So we blend up into the pale top of the head, a sort of pinkish face. And then finally, what we're going to do, we're going to apply this over the top of the wing spines. Like this, bring it down, like that. Do this one as well. Wash the brush, and then down here, we're just going to blend it just a little bit, so most of the pink stays on the wing spines themselves. Then we just flip it over and do the same thing on the main body of the wing. Wash the brush. And blend out over that kind of limb. And then you can just nice and simply apply it over the spines. So with all that Carroburg Crimson now applied, we're then going to take some Agrax Earthshade. I'm going to use this to shade all the silver and gold. So with those shades applied, our Abhorrant Gorewarden is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. It's already looking pretty cool. However, we're not going to leave it there. Of course not. We're going to take it to the next level. I'm going to do this by adding some highlights. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down white scar. I'm going to use this to do two different things. First of which is to place a teeny tiny little dot over the top of the eyeballs. Just like that. And like that. And then secondly, what we're going to do is going to take the white scar. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the skin, excluding the pinkest bits on the hands and feet. But otherwise, on the face and the wings, we're just going to pick out all of the edges and all the flesh. So with that all done, the skin is now finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the wings. And the colour we're going to be using to highlight these is some thinned down Wazdakka Red. We're just going to start picking out all the edges. So with all of that Wazdakka Red applied, what we're now going to do is going to take some thinned down Squig Orange. I'm going to apply this to the sharpest points in the wings. So with that done, the wings are now all finished, excluding the talons. And we'll get to those in just a minute. But before we do, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Stormvermin Fur. I'm going to use this to highlight all of our black details. So with all that Stormvermin Fur applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Karak Stone. I'm going to use this to add a little spot highlight to all of the black details. So we're going to use this to pick out the sharpest bits, like this little corner just up there and around the bottom edge. Like that sort of thing. However, what we're also going to do with the Karak Stone is we're going to use this now to highlight all of our Wyldwood details. And so with that done, we're now going to finish him off by taking some thinned down Ironbreaker. I'm going to use this to highlight the silver and the gold. So with our Abhorrant Gorewarden now all finished, it's time to work on the base. So what we're going to do is we're going to start things off nice and simply by taking some Stirland Mud. We're going to apply this all over the top of all of the negative space. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to work on the sculpted detail. I'm going to be using two colours for this, Black Templar and Gryph-Charger Grey. And what we're going to do is we're going to load up our brush first with Black Templar. And I'm just going to have a quick look, make sure I'm not applying this over something I shouldn't be. No, we're all good. So we're going to apply this over the top of all the rock, starting just here, like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wash the brush. Once we've got a good amount of Black Templar, we're then going to grab some Gryph-Charger Grey. And then where we ended with the Black Templar is where we then continue on with the Gryph-Charger Grey. And we can go into the Black Templar to add a little bit of extra light, so on and so forth. Just like that. Then we're going to wash the brush. Pop back to Black Templar. Add some of that in. Then continue on to a new spot. So with that now done, we're going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to apply this over the top of this skull. And next up, we're going to take some Guilliman Flesh. I'm going to apply this over the top of the victim. Well, the two victims, because there's a head as well. And with that Guilliman Flesh all applied, we're then going to take some Wyldwood. I'm going to apply this over the ropes and the soil. So with that all done, we're now going to take some blood for the blood god, and we're going to apply this to our victims. So we're just going to apply some of this in the kind of wounds and things. He's not having a good time. I'm also going to do this on the head, down there. Just like that. And with that done, we're then going to finish off the base using a dry brush of Tyrant Skull over the entire lot. So with his base all complete, the Abhorrant Gorewarden is now finished, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's a stunning new miniature. It's wonderful. It's really creepy and gory and horrible. I think it's just amazing. It's really fun to paint and very, very quick to do as well in this Morgaunt scheme. I really enjoyed this one. I really, really like him. I think he's my favourite of the entire lot, for now. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com
youtube.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.